观众朋友们好，欢迎大家来到今日华尔街的经济学究栏目，我是主持人 Lizzie。 今天呢，我们特别为大家关注到的是在上海黄埔世博园开幕的 Inclusion 外滩大会啊。当然之前其实我们在节目中已经为大家介绍到了易纲的讲话呀、黄奇帆的讲话呀等等等等啊，对于中国经济形势的研判。但是今天呢，我们要讲的是另外一位演讲者，他呢就是凯文凯利啊，他有一个头衔叫做著名的未来学家。什么叫做未来学家呢？大家可能记得他著名的书啊，5000天后的世界。那么凯文凯利本人呢，也一直是以对于全球科技经济发展趋势的研判而著称的。在这一次演讲中啊，他也分享了他对于人工智能的看法。他说这个 AI 会深刻地影响到我们现在生活世界的经济和文化，同时他预计未来一定会有3大趋势，是什么呢？叫做全球主义啊，这是第一大。另外呢，就是创新的不断加速，还有就是 AI 驱动生成。到底应该如何理解凯文凯利的预测呢？他又透露了哪一些信息呢？在今天的经济学究中我们就为大家简单介绍。而在这个节目最后我们也附上了凯文凯利14分钟的演讲的中英视频的这样的一个节目，大家也可以看看凯文凯利原文到底是怎么说的。凯文凯利就讲了一个问题，说人工智能下全球主义可能会形成一种新兴的全球文化。什么叫做全球文化呢？他就说现在其实你看人们的生活方式和穿着基本上是趋同的。比如说大家都牛仔裤 T 恤这是典型的年轻人的搭扮标配。同时我们都住在钢筋混凝土的房子里每个人家里都有空调自来水还有 WiFi 等等等等。这一些基本的生活的要素在全球范围内似乎是达成了某一些统一。如果是按照马斯洛的需求层次理论，凯文凯利认为大家的这个底层需求已经基本达成了某一种全球化的拉平。而他认为现在我们正在打造的是一个像行星般规模的全球化的机器。可能人们对于具体的这个机器上的设备内容有不同的偏好，但是本质上世界上所有的数字技术，包括人工智能本身，都运营在这一个全球化的平台上。他就说全球的手机、笔记本电脑所有的数据服务库会连接成一个超级大的计算系统，而每一个设备我们每一个点对点的人就像这个庞大系统的一个神经元，而这个超级计算机会在一个前所未有的规模上高速运行。这就是所谓的新一代的全球主义，一个共同人类构建的基于技术的超级有机体。同时他也讲到，让全球主义再次复兴的另外一个重要因素是什么呢？就是 AI 可以帮我们实施真正的实时翻译，交流不再有限制，全球范围内巴别塔式的语言障碍可能会彻底破除，再加上未来可能会出现的 VR 技术等等等等，远在天边真的可以近在眼前。这可能对于跨国工作和交流的方式出现变革式的改变。另外一点呢，凯文凯利提到的就是创新的加速。他就说这个 AI 技术它本身是一种创新，但是更重要的是什么呢？就是它加速了其他创新来到的步伐。新的发明也好新的思想也好传播速度越来越快。现在有很多年轻人已经在通过 AR 还有 VR 的增强现实和虚拟现实来提高学习效率了。这个 AI 本身也可以通过机器和其他的传感器来感知世界。更不要说很多年轻人现在已经在用 ChatGPT 这样的人工智能开始自我学习这个学习的速度远远超越了他们在传统的学校学习的速度。那这也带来一个问题，当所有的答案都变得 很快就可以得到的时候，价值到底是哪里呢？过去我们说悬梁刺股啊，要经过几年几十年的深耕才能够打通一门精义，但是凯文凯利说，这样的一种学习方式可能很快就会被超越了。为什么呢？因为你作为一个人你真正的价值可能是提出正确问题的能力，而并不是你到底能够掌握多少客观的知识。年轻人到底应该如何为 AI 时代的到来做准备呢？凯文凯利说你也别着急，你可能未来2年的工作现在还没有被创造出来呢。你在学校里面针对的目前工作市场的训练，可能在2年之后就已经落幕了。毕业之后，你可能从事的是你现在根本无法想象的工作。因此，真正重要的技能是什么呢？就是学会如何学习，而不是具体你在学校学到了什么。这是不是让人觉得有一点不安全呢？凯文凯利说，其实人工智能不仅会帮助我们摆脱机械的、枯燥的、反复性的工作，完成之前我们没有办法独立完成的任务，甚至有可能可以带来超越我们今天想象的全新的事物。而在凯文凯利看来，这才是人工智能带来的真正的巨大的革命。他就说他自己在1年多来时间使用了很多大语言模型，他就发现这个人工智能的工具有一个特点，它不仅仅是为最聪明的人准备的，从人工智能工具中获益最多的可能是一般的人，甚至是表现比较差的员工。也就是人工智能是大大的拉平了不同人的这个智力之间的差别。那不知道您到底是受益的，还是被人工智能拖了后腿的？这又到底公平不公平呢？在这一次外滩大会开幕之前凯文凯利也向中国的观众征集了他们有关于 AI 的问题。那么后来呢，外滩大会官方也是公布了凯文凯利的一些答案。中国网友特别感兴趣的就是什么呢？就是说人工智能是不是第4次科技革命？凯文凯利给出了肯定的答案。他认为人工智能的重要性不亚于之前的火、印刷术，还有第1次、第2次、第3次工业革命，认为这是一个广泛的变革，但是不会是一蹴而就的，可能需要1个世纪甚至更长的时间才能够实现。他说过去的100万年以来，我们一直是这个星球上唯一的智慧物种，但是现在我们这一些人似乎可以创造出真正意义上的外星人，他们就像来自遥远的星球前来拜访我们一样。当然他这里讲到的就是 AI。他就说这一些由人工智能所创造的新的思维方式，就像外星人的思想一样，会被引入我们的世界，可能会碰撞出一种新的文化。中国网友也非常感兴趣，就是这个人工智能是不是可能带来危险、不安全、加剧不平等？凯文凯利说当然我们对于任何的新技术可能都要保持谨慎，但是他说来自未来最大的问题的确有可能来自 AI 本身，但是我们今天想的 AI 的这一些问题可能并不是最难解决的，什么假新闻这个 AI 对于这个版权等等的伤害。他说这一些问题只要是我们能够想象到的，就是可以应对的。真正难的是什么呢？就是我们没有办法想象到的这一些未知的问题。那到底怎么办呢？凯文凯利就提出了一个思路，说如果让这个人工智能驱动的未来朝着我们理想的方向去发展，最好的途径是我们积极的去参与人工智能，而不是排斥它，或者是试图禁止它。他认为现在人工智能这一种开源模式是一种更具包容性的技术生态，是值得推荐的。很有这个中国网友就担心说，未来的这个工作如果被人工智能取代了怎么办？是不是有哪一些行业不会被人工智能取代？凯文凯利说未来几乎所有的工作都会使用某种程度的人工智能，就像过去大家说什么工作是信息产业的工作， 大家可能想到比如说程序员，这是信息产业的工作，但是你仔细一想，现在没有哪一个工作是不用信息产业的，不管是电脑也好，手机也好，还是全球互联网也好，没有工作是不需要使用信息互联的。那是不是每一个工作都被信息互联取代了呢？也不能这么说，他们没有完全被信息互联世界所取代，而是在原有的形态上，由于与信息互联结合而生成了新的增长点和形态。而在凯文凯利看来，未来的人工智能也会是这样的，所有的工作都会在某种程度上来使用人工智能，但是这并不意味着这些工作会被人工智能所取代。好了，以上就是我们为大家简单总结的凯文凯利的演讲。他的这一番话到底有没有道理？他对于未来 AI 世界的预测，这一种谨慎乐观的态度，是不是给了您更多的启发呢？下面我们一起去看一看凯文凯利到底说了什么。
Hi, I'm Kevin Kelly. I want to talk about the future of culture and what it would mean as we become more AI dependent. So the three things I want to talk about are globalism, acceleration, and generation. Those are the three trends that we're going to be seeing as AI infuses our economy and culture. First, globalism. Globalism is happening because we are making a technological superorganism. We're connecting all our phones and all our laptops and all the data servers in the world into one gigantic machine, one gigantic computer. It's like every phone's like a neuron in this world brain. And this mega computer is operating on a very large scale system, really fast times. It's almost like its own huge supercomputer. It's one machine. And I want to emphasize the fact that while we might have different flavors, we can have Apple versus Windows, iOS versus Android, the US content versus China. It's basically all still one machine. And these different flavors are basically different ways we interface with them. But behind all this is one machine. And that machine is the new platform that all technology is running on. Okay? We're making one large global planetary size machine, and we're running all the digital technology of the world, including AI, on this new platform. And what we know from networks is that your own success, the success of your own efforts, really depends on the success of the platform. So we all want this platform to succeed. We all want this planetary machine to succeed because our success depends on it. So while there's also one machine, that means there's also one economy globally, and there's one culture emerging, one convergence of all the things. You can ask anybody in the world today, any young person, and they're basically studying the same things in school, chemistry, mathematics, science, history, and their own local language. It's the same curriculum around the world producing one global culture. There's a convergence on where we live and how we dress. People wear blue jeans and t-shirts, and they live in a concrete room that has air conditioning, ideally running water, and Wi-Fi. It's like Maslow's hierarchy of the basic ideas. We're all converging at the bottom, the most essential things we want. We want a shelter, we want clothing, and we want Wi-Fi. And so that is the new global culture. And helping that along, AI is now going to make real-time translation happen, where we could put a little earbud in and I could talk to you in English, you would hear me in Chinese, you would speak in Chinese back to me and I'd hear in English, and we would do this in real time. It's buried in our ear and it's no latency, it's happening. And once that happens, we have this entire ability to have virtual presence around the world together with augmented reality means that there is a global workforce for the first time. And that's coming to China as well. Whether Chinese residents working abroad because of the language barrier has been dropped, or outsiders coming in working in China, again, because the language barrier has been broken. This is a huge thing, one of the most important things that AI will be producing. So The second trend is acceleration. The acceleration of innovation brought about by these new technologies. It's accelerated in several different ways. One, this accelerated innovation is happening because the speed at which new inventions, new ideas are spread and shared is increasingly rapidly because of communication technologies and things like YouTube and Youku. And the new technology is also allowing us to use things like AR, augmented reality, virtual reality, to train people by shadowing and puppeting their movements, by showing them a virtual description of how they should do something. So we have learning by doing with the new technology like Vision Quest from Apple, allowing us to actually use our full bodies. And many people learn better with their full bodies rather than just reading things. They're much more kinetic learners. And so this also accelerates the pace of innovation and bringing those technologies into enterprises where you have the AI and its ability to perceive through a machine, through an eye of a robot, to perceive other things is also accelerating the pace of innovation and accelerating learning. And then we come to the AI-assisted learning, which will, with chat GPTs and things like that, hugely accelerate the rate in which people can learn. Today, I believe that young people are learning more with ChatGPT than they learn in school. What we learned from ChatGPT is that answers become cheap. If you want an answer to something, you ask a machine. As answers become cheap, what becomes valuable is asking the right questions, having the right mindset. And that is really what's happening, is that answers become really, really ubiquitous with these technologies, and that is accelerating the pace in which we do innovation. I claim that if you're a young person, your job in 2 years has not even been invented yet. The job market, what you are training yourself to do in school is going to change within 2 years of you graduating, and you'll be doing something that didn't even exist while you were in school. Therefore, learning how to learn will become the central skill to graduate. And all these things are accelerating the culture. So part of the culture is we expect innovation. And we expect innovation in technology. And part of the new global culture around technology is to expect innovations to happen in all parts of society. And these tools will allow them to happen. So the third trend in this technology of culture is generation, AI-based generative AI, where you are generating things. One of the main things we're doing is we're generating tasks. The AIs are going to allow us to do tasks that we don't like to do. That's the first thing. We get rid of the ones we don't like to do. We maybe don't like to count change, and so counting change and counting money cashiers will go away. We don't like to work in a factory like a robot, so we won't do that. The second thing is these AIs will generate things that we can't do, that we're unable to do by ourselves, and they'll be able to do. And then the third thing is these AIs will generate new things that we never even thought of doing. We didn't have an opinion. They're completely new beyond what we would have imagined ourselves. So an example of a job that we don't want to do is drive a car around all day, drive a taxi around all day. So we have a Waymo, and that's happening here in San Francisco, and it'll happen in the rest of the world. So that's a job that is now being done, being generated by AIs that we don't want to do. And there are other kinds of jobs like that. Truck driving is a lot of jobs. A lot of that is things that people don't want to do. But it's going to take 10 years because we have to work out the infrastructure. You can't just bring a self-driving car into the same system Everything has to be changed, so it's going to take some time, maybe another 10 years before it becomes really common. But that's the general direction. Then there are things that we can't do. So here's an AI robot working in precision agriculture on a farm, and it's applying the exact amount of fertilizer and water to each individual plant. It remembers that plant. It says, I gave you this much, and it's inspecting each plant and giving it a precise amount. That's something no human farmer could possibly do. And this is a job that the AI robots can do, reducing the amount of fertilizer needed, increasing the health and yield of a farm. So, but most important of all these things that we're going to generate are things that we never thought of doing or knew that we wanted, new desires, new ideas. That is the real huge revolution that brought about these AIs, generative AIs, is generating the new things. They're not so good at that, but they're getting better. And I want to emphasize that AIs are plural. There's more than one kind. There are many kinds of intelligences, many, many kinds. And these intelligences will field a field of many possible intelligences, of which humans are only one. So there are many different ways of thinking, many different AIs that we're going to make. And the important thing about these is that they do not resemble human-like intelligence. They're weirdly different. They're strange. They're alien. But they think differently, and that's their main benefit, is the fact that they do not think like humans. They have different ideas than we have. They can help us to think differently, as Steve Jobs says. And that is the source of innovation and wealth. So, I think there are many very important ideas, finance, economics, and science, that we cannot solve by ourselves as humans, that we need AIs to think differently with us to help us solve these problems. It's a two-step process. First, we invent the AIs to help us solve the problem. And so we also know from already a year and a half of using GPT and other LLMs is that the people who benefit most from these AI tools are actually the average and worst performing employees. So these are not just for the brightest people. These tools are going to help the least fortunate among us generate better work. That's really great news for us. So I think that the robots and AIs will be generating new jobs for us. Jobs that we didn't even know we could do, didn't even know we wanted to do, didn't even know were possible. That's the real frontier in this world of generative AI. So those are the three trends in the global tech culture. Globalism. We are on a path of running on one machine, one planetary machine together. That is the new platform that all technology is running on. Sure, there'll be different flavors, different interfaces, maybe country by country, but behind it all is one large machine. And if you want to succeed worldwide, you have to be running on that platform. The second thing is this accelerated pace of innovation. And that acceleration is not happening in schools, it's happening outside of schools. And it's being fueled and accelerated by new technologies such as AI, such as virtual augmented reality. And the more we implement those, the faster this acceleration of progress will happen. And finally, there's generative AI, which is going to generate first the efficiency, the task that we don't want to do, and then it'll help us do the tasks that we can't do by ourselves. And lastly, it's going to help us to create entirely new tasks that we do want to do as humans. And that's the revolution that we're headed towards. So I'm really excited by the future, what it brings. And I think that we want to imagine this picture of where we're going. And so I want to leave you with a question. And the question is, having described this world of ubiquitous AI and globalism and acceleration, can you imagine a future in 100 years that you would like to live in. And try to imagine that, because that's the only way we're going to make it happen, is for it to be imagined first and then believe that it's possible to get there. So thank you for your attention. I appreciate it.